So, Donald Trump is president of the United States for a second time, and he's declared war on Israel, and he said the answers to all of our global and personal challenges lie in understanding energy, vibration and frequency, and that if we could all get a grasp of this, we can go forward together as an enlightened version of ourselves. Oh, he fucking didn't, did he? Sorry about that. Boom, Johnny, how we doing? My veteran brother.
Good. How are you, everybody?
Yes, I'm sure they're all fine. I'm sure. Well, to be honest, let's say it how it is. I think if we're talking in the Matrix now, I think everyone's glad the Donald won, because the other thing just did not bear thinking about. However, friends, first of all, I'm just going to point out the title of today's video. I'm being facetious, obviously. In England, we call this being ironic. It's not clickbait. It's a form of dry humor when you're suggesting that the result people think they got might not be the result that they're getting. And Johnny and I, we're not saying that, Johnny, are we? But we thought it would make a good discussion.
Yeah.
You know, what with everything that's going on. And at the end of the day, we can all celebrate the fact that Emily Matrice, the big mouth for the big club, she got told to fuck off by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Which I will take to the grave. Boom. And she got kicked off, was it bloody Newsnight or Channel 4 last night for her potty mouth. But half the reason... Sorry, Johnny, I am going to shut up in a second and let you speak, but I just wanted to lay the table here. Half the reason, folks, that we're here to discuss the age-old cabal strategy of order out of chaos, order ab cow, is that there you've got Emily Maitlis, big club, big mouth, a shaper for the big club. And ironically, you'd think with President Trump being re-elected for a second time, she'd be happy because he's big on Israel, isn't he? You'd think she'd be happy, but there she is on live television last night. I believe it was live, bad mouthing him. And when I said to Johnny, why is that? What did you say, mate? About the order out of chaos?
Yeah, it's like all this stuff we're seeing and that lot. It's all designed. It's like chaos. It's just none of it just makes any sense. And you've got people hating one side, hating other. There's no middle ground. It's like you gits and stuff, but it's complete chaos. But like what they've said, they'll get order out of chaos. And like ultimately, I was thinking, I said, it's like it's written on Georgia Guidestones. It was written on Georgia Guidestones before they blew them up. But it's just a belief that I've got that to do with like an AI system for future, one that controls us. Because it's like they say, get rid of the useless petty politicians and officials. And this is what we're bombarded with. And nobody's happy. Look at Starmer and that lot, what he's done at UK and this lot. And the solution will lie in something like that. And we'll have been tricked, up, line and sinkered into it, kind of thing. That's
This is just...
accept it. We'll accept it, won't we, in end? We'll just accept it. We'll think, yeah, they are shit. This has got to be better. And hence, they'll have got what they set out to do in first place.
Well,
Contribute.
yes, you're right. Of course, it's order out of chaos. It's their strategy, and it works really well. But the main thing here is keeping people in a low vibrational state, believing in three-dimensional matrix politics that will change the future for all of us. And it's a difficult concept to grasp, Johnny, that if people want grassroots change, it's got to be changed at grassroots. And many would say, I'm not saying, I'm just saying what, if you do the reading, this is what you're going to come up with. And, you know, many would say that electing a billionaire that protects the stronghold of the global cabal, which is Israel, it's their front company. I'm not talking about the wonderful people of Israel here, or obviously after recent events, they're clearly not all wonderful. But I'm not talking about good old honest people here. I'm talking about the way that everything's been set up, particularly since Second World War and the Balfour Agreement, was to create this facade, this untouchable front plate that you're not allowed to criticise, that you're not allowed to even talk about in certain countries without being, you know, put in prison, with which to conduct their new world order from behind. And whether this President Trump has some secret plan to suddenly do a complete turnaround and pull the rug out from under their feet and get the whole world cheering, or whether he's going to keep going along with the narrative, I think remains to be seen, does it not?
Yeah, but I think he'll go along with narrative. You don't get in a position like that, do you, the President of the United States, if you're not part of that big club. Me and you, if we were American, we wouldn't get that opportunity. We're not part of the big club. And the fact that we're not billionaire either. And I mean, billionaires are so out of touch to the likes of us. Their lives are completely different, you know what I mean? So how can they resonate with folks like us ultimately? In Richie Sunak, he didn't resonate with hardly anybody. He was the richest person in Houses of Parliament, still is.
Yes, I heard something on the radio this morning. It just summed it up. I was driving back from the gym, having picked my car up, which flew through its MOT, didn't even get an advise, which is the first time in my life that I've ever done that. There's normally a whole list of, if it doesn't fail, there's a whole list of stuff needs doing. But there I was driving back, and you know, in the car you can only listen to crap mainstream radio, can't you? You can fiddle around and get your bloody podcast up or whatever, but when you're just driving, I thought, let's just whack the radio on. And I was listening to some music. Fergal Sharkey, single-handedly.
I wouldn't have owned up to that.
Fergal Shark. Well, you can't tell Radio 2 what they can and can't play, mate. They've already decided that.
Yeah.
It just starts coming out your speakers, and you either put up and shut up or turn it off. But where was I? Yeah, Fergal Sharkey. Do you know he's single-handedly responsible for the increase in fossil fuel use?
Well,
yeah, no. Where they when his two hearts did when that one comes on the radio, every car speeds up.
Right.
Everyone starts putting their foot down a bit. No, I'm talking. Well, I'm talking a whole load of shit. Let me just get back to what I was saying. Yeah, so it's this thing, you know, we're in this cancel culture where the softies, the snowflakes, they can't bear like to hear anything that goes against their like echo chamber. You know, it's like the people that have a go at me for guests on the podcast just because they don't agree with it. It's like, I'm always saying, fucking talk to everyone. Listen to everyone. You don't have to agree, but if you don't listen, you're not going to build up your holistic perspective with which to, create your launch pad of enlightenment and get out, you know, get out of this matrix nonsense. But they're saying on the radio, Donald Trump has done the impossible. He's come back for a second term after and why is this important? And I'm like, because he's going to discuss energy, vibration and frequency. And he says, because this is good for the American economy. And I'm like, yeah. And he's going to say, and Americans, do you know that there are other countries out there that are also important? And he went, and this is good for the taxpayer dollar. And I'm like, yeah. And and of course it was all a long list of like, America is the only country in the world, and all this. And I just thought in that moment, and I get it. I'm not slagging off Americans here, folks. I think Americans are the kindest, nicest people on the planet. Proud to have fought alongside them or trained alongside them. But my point is, it fucking sums it up in that little bullshit, doesn't it? That like nothing about, you know, mental health, addiction, how we're going to help. We're going to change the school system so we stop damaging children from 3 years old into all this, you know, into having a negative self-belief and negative self-image. How we're going to actually look at ways where we stop destroying the planet and trashing the seas and using excess plastics. So. Yes. Jonni, I'm going to come back to you. Let's just play Emily swearing, shall we?
Oh, it's terrible, is this?
This is
terrible.
Folks, if you if you like me do not appreciate the potty mouth, you want to turn away now.
It's bad.
It'd be bad if I put the audio on.
Saying this is going to be the end of him.
Stop swearing. I've been telling
I'm
them.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. When Donald Trump talked about the eating cats and dogs, half of America was just thinking, this is batshit. I can't believe what he's saying. This is going to be the end of him.
Stop swearing. I've been telling them.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I can say stuff.
Oh, they gaslight you so much, right? All she said in her defense, and I never thought I'd be defending Emily Maitlis, God bless her. But all she said is when Donald Trump talked about eating cats and dogs, I don't know what the hell that's about. The whole of America went, this is bad shit. That's just vocabulary these days, is it not?
That shit crazy.
My son, my little boy, comes out with way worse. We laugh our asses off. It's funny as hell. But can you see the gaslighting, Jonni? That they're selling the
crap. A batshit story. There were no story in that, but they kind of sell it to you, don't they? As if there is, they make more out of nothing than what it really is, and the folks lap it up.
But they're still trying to do that brainwashing that like swearing is so foul and disgusting. No. And I wish I could. Somebody in the comments, folks, not in the live chat. I mean, underneath, tell me if you understand what I'm trying to say. They're trying to sow this stupid, softy, sissy seed in people. Like that thing about I was saying the other day, the blackface. The guy, I think he's at uni, he rocks up to this fancy dress party as P. Diddy, right? His girlfriend went as a bottle of baby lotion. Utterly hilarious. Unless you're a bit menthol, right? That is hilarious. It might be a bit, you know, inappropriate, but who cares? The best things in life are inappropriate. But of course, because he's a white dude, he's got to black his face up to be P. Diddy, which, you know, that's called fancy dress. That's like what you do. You pretend to be something that you're not. Unless you're a pirate, which a lot of us actually are, or a Viking. But the media, Johnny, they jump on that and they start saying how awful it is that he did blackface. You see, they're putting that little bit of that little microchip of programming into youngsters' heads that blackface is somehow like gollywog, like we gotta fucking avoid it, like you know, you're not allowed to get. It's like, fuck off. You do what? Sorry, I'm swearing a lot today, folks.
You're allowed to, though. You're allowed to, because you don't speak Queen's English. You speak like normal people, not the BBC. And that's what the BBC, if they wanted to do something realistically, they could have like EastEnders on, Pat Butcher and all that coming out. Oh, where's me effing fags, you bastard? And that'd be more realistic than the shite you've got. Rant over.
Someone in the comments said, why laugh at your kid swearing? Well, Rachel, I laugh because it absolutely doesn't matter. The only thing matters is that my kid knows he's loved unconditionally, that he was born a massive, massive legend, and that me and his mum will do anything for him, not just now, but forever in history. And any mistake that he ever makes, will still be there to love him, to pick him up, and to help him learn from it and move forward into being a beautiful, loving, giving, caring, productive human being, which from all his reports and from everyone that ever meets him he's achieved already. So we're kind of like onto a bit of a winner. Or we could be like our parents' generation and let's just not go there, eh? So yes, this is interesting state of affairs, Johnny, and I'm only saying this from a perspective of learning for people that want to hear it. But, you know, I'm always showing that diagram, Johnny, you know, the upside down pyramid, people call it, or whatever. It's not an upside down pyramid, but it's just that I can't, I'm just showing it on the screen now, mate. I can't really explain. You either understand this or you don't. And if you're not there yet, you ain't going to understand it. And that is this line here between fourth dimension matrix existence and fifth dimensional paradise consciousness, you know, or enlightenment as it's called. People often ask the question, what's the difference between someone who lives in you know, like fourth dimension, friends at home? This is awake people. These are people that have realised there's a lot of evil in the world. They've realised that certain like medical agendas, you know, need to be questioned, and you know, when things go bang on you know, bang somewhere, you got to question who makes them go bang. This is called being awake, isn't it? And I heard a great definition the other day of what's the difference between being awake and being enlightened. And I think there's several different definitions, but as someone who runs a meditation and hemisync channel, I think when you start seeing, when you get past duality, Johnny, would you agree, when you stop thinking of yourself as an individual, and rather part of the big ecosphere, the everything, all?
The absolute. The absolute. We're all part of the absolute. It's just realizing it and finding out, but you got to find out for yourself. Otherwise, you kept down. You kept down. Yeah.
And what I've noticed, and again, I'm not trying to get at anything, I'm just saying this because this is information. But when you meet people that think the earth is flat, or that Donald Trump is the savior, that he's going to save us all, or that some kind of extreme diet is, you know, like the new Messiah, I would posit they haven't made that. They haven't made that step, Johnny. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, they haven't quite made that step because the traits. I know a lot of really good people. People in my what I call my close circle, Johnny. You know, good people. They're all aware of all the COVID stuff. You know, they're all aware of 9/11, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then they'll cling to Donald Trump, or they'll cling to flat Earth and go, well, you don't know. And it's like, well, yeah, some of us fucking do know because we've travelled an awful lot. Yeah, but it could be, and I'm not making much sense here, but you see that same trait, Johnny. Does it make sense? You see that same trait in people that they haven't quite like elevated, you know, between like third, fourth dimension and fifth dimension. And
it takes time, though. It does take time with people. And I mean, you kind of find out stuff at first. It blows your mind when you first find things out the way that you've always believed it was. And I can only liken it to have growing up in the BBC's protective bubble, believing everything that came out of that channel, you know, to a certain point. And then it were after World Trade Center, the events in 2001, be about 5 years later that I actually really started to see things. And even then, it blows your mind. It blows your mind when you first see it because it's so unbelievable. But the more you look into it, you realize that it's not what we've been told. It won't what we've been told, but it gets you looking further into things. And it's that continual, like once you see something, you'll see it in everything. You'll see it in everything. And the more you get to learn, and like anybody with any half a brain would, if you've got an enemy, you'll learn about your enemy and you'll learn what they're doing, where they're coming from in order to fight against them. You wouldn't fight against somebody you didn't know anything about. A boxer would learn about his opponent. And that's kind of, I think, what people have to do. They have to learn, you know, and it's just take time, but then just depends how much you want to go, how much you want to expand your mind, how much you want to do, and that lot. And it's all there for the taking.
Exactly.
Realize.
Again, I'm saying this for the people out there that want to hear, or that are at that time in their life, they want to hear this. Because this is important, folks. Understanding this stuff here was what saved my life, because I was dying. I was dying quite quickly of drug addiction. And someone once said to me, Johnny, they say, Chris, you overthink things. You always overthink. And my answer to that was, well, yeah, because I'm dying. And someone's got to do the thinking, have they not? Do you know what I mean? The shit I've seen on TV don't work for me. The way society's structured isn't doing me any good. The way that my parents think and that all my friends sort of, none of it, like, you know, helps me. And I think I worked out what it is. I think we're all born enlightened, or at least we should be, and we're brainwashed by the system into being in the matrix, in the third dimension, you know, that we've landed on the moon, that if you eat fucking 5 a day and all this just utter nonsense, you know, that you got to have medical procedure, you know, all that stuff that every single country other than Great Britain, or the nation of Great Britain, which doesn't even exist, as many of us know, that every other country out there except America is evil. You know, all this stuff, all matrix programming. Oh, religion, that's the thing, isn't it? There's a guy who sits on a cloud knocking up stone tablets and virgins, and you know, he's not going to be, if if you're not a good boy, you're going to have an eternity in in hell. So here's the thing. Some people accept that and they live with it the rest of their life because they've got no impetus to question it, right? Other people, they have quite a bad deal in life, Johnny, don't they? They have, you know, child abuse, parental divorce, separation, domestic violence, alcoholism, bullying at school, ostracism, not being able to apply themselves at school despite being like, you know, we're all academically brilliant, but it's got to be drawn out of you in the right way, especially at different times in your life when you might be under different pressure. And the ones that have been through that, the ones that have been a bit battered, that deep down have experienced childhood trauma, I think they are predisposed to be more open-minded, that there might be a better answer out there. Which
you
is...
think, ruminate, don't you?
Yes.
It's what we call ruminating.
Yes, you reflect more, you ask questions. Why is this like this? Who says this is like this? Why does this have to be like this? Why do I have to do this? I don't want to do, I want to do. And I think that when something like, for example, you know, those events in New York and Washington that time, or that medical thing, when something like that comes along and it's something like you're receptive to it because you already know that life is unfair. You already know that there are bad people out there. Even like in your social circle, there are bad people that will do bad things. You don't live in that gullible bubble where the BBC is beautiful and doesn't David Attenborough do lovely nature programs, you know? And what happens, and again, I'm only saying this for people that need to hear it or it'll help them on their journey, is you enter that fourth dimension, you've broken free of the third dimension programming, but you only know how to operate in the matrix. So your answer to the unfairness is, oh, well, let's get that nice Mr. Donald Trump in. He'll fix everything. But of course, it's all still in the matrix. And I think your trauma naturally clings to things like the last rock before the waterfall. Even though the waterfall's only a foot high, and if you just let go and trust it in life, you'll be fine. And I think that this is why, this is the risk, is that you can be an awake person who's in a cult, who's brainwashed. You know, if you can't hold your hand up and say, do you know what? I'm prepared to say I don't know the answer to this. I might never know it. It could be this, it could be that. But what I noticed, Johnny, it's not like that. Even some of the nicest people I know that love me unconditionally, they still cling to that, you know? You still can't have this conversation with them. They'll still always default to, oh yeah, but da-da, and they'll come out with some soundbite that they say on YouTube, you know? It makes sense.
Oh, 100%, yeah, I know where you're coming from. 100% know where you're coming from. It's what it's like. It's what it's like. You're ridiculed. If you come out with truth, you're ridiculed because there's people who are out there, the shills, as I call them. Some conspiracy theorist guys. I'm not going to mention any names because I know people do like them, but there's some who come out with the truth, but in the middle of it, they'll come out with something absolutely batshit crazy, and hence lies their job's done. So then when you come out with anything that is true, that they've also stated, you're instantly tarred with brush of the nonsense they come out with. and you're kept down. And society has a way of even controlling people who know what's going on by doing that, keeping your silence through ridicule. And those who stick their head out on parapet kind of thing, some people ridicule them and that lot. It's just the way things is, isn't it? It's like how it's all, how the social thing's all designed to be. So ultimately, they always win. Do you get me? Even when you come out with truth, some of the bad shit they're doing. I mean, in light of a certain island where a certain billionaire paedophile and things like that, there's a list of names. They've used it as an election thing. They've used it as an election promise. If you vote for us, we will release this list of names who've been on this island. Do you know what I mean? They should have done it anyway. They should have released that list of names anyway and prosecuted all those people who've been on. But they don't. They're just like little sound bits. And it's like you said, we'll probably never get to know who's really been on. There'll be people who've done all sorts of crimes on just that one island. There's many islands out there where bad shit's going down. But just that one island, we'll never get to hear half the stuff because we're kept down, and they keep the vibrations low. All this negativity and shit like that. It's like you said, you never hear about today is like, we're all about love and going out and helping your neighbour and things like that. Go around, visit your old pensions on state and make them a meal and get the community together. They never do any shit like that. It's all pick your fight, pick whose side you're on. You're either on our side or you're on theirs. And it's just all matter of fact, like, to keep people down, innit?
So talking of cults and rituals, I just made that up because I don't think we've been talking about rituals, but this one here, Johnny, I'll have to explain what's going on. There's so this is former, if anyone out there remembers the wonderful Isaac Cappy. Isaac was great. Before he died, mysteriously having, let's just say, been launched off a road bridge into oncoming traffic. Sorry, folks, I should have given a disclaimer there, but if you're watching this channel, you probably know we talk about adult stuff a lot. So Isaac came out and he called out all the Hollywood elite who were all up to no good. Names mentioned, well, I don't think it would be any surprise to anyone that Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks and Johnny, I don't say things on kind of hearsay, if you know what I mean. It's more like when you've done the research and you're like, oh, geez, you know.
I've seen their names come up.
And
Lots.
this was going off Tom Hanks' own Twitter page from a tweet he put out that had this coding in it. And if you type that code, it was something sprayed on the road, a number and letter. If you typed it into a certain search engine, I won't say which one, it come up with all stuff that you shouldn't be looking for in a search engine. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah.
So Isaac came out and he called all these people out, and then he specifically said, "I am not going to take my own life." And then 2 days later, he was deaded.
Yeah.
But this channel, Isaac's Army, it's called Return a Cappy. It really comes up with some some interesting stuff. And we've talked a lot, haven't we, about the humiliation ritual where black celebrities have to dress up as women.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's been through it, or LeBron James, or all of them. It's some sort of humiliation ritual. It gets a bit confusing.
John Cena just do one. John Cena, that wrestler, didn't he just appear on Oscars or something? We stood like naked, just hiding himself with an envelope, and they reckon that were a humiliation ritual.
Yeah. Well, this one here I'm showing is former NFL player Fletcher Cox participating in an Illuminati humiliation ritual. The agenda here is to emasculate men watching this to make it seem like normal behaviour. I don't even know what you call it. Like he's got a woman. He's dressed in lilac. And he's got a woman's blouse on. It's bizarre.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait.
You don't see me in that.
Wait.
You look at his eyes. They just say everything, Johnny. You know, this is someone he don't own his own mind no more. It's funny, isn't it? The whole celebrity thing. What they're subjected just to put out a few hit singles and that every year. What do? They have to join the cabal, the cult, this kind of Hollywood masonry sort of thing, isn't it? They have to do the humiliation rituals. And their just reward is the Sodom and Gomorrah, isn't it? It's all these sex parties like the Epstein stuff and the Diddy stuff. Crazy.
It's going to be interesting, some names that's going to crop out of that lot. I've seen some names already, but they've not put them officially out there yet.
Yes. Sorry, mate. I'm trying to multitask here, and it's something I hold my hand up and say I'm not very good at. Yes. Can we watch Marjorie Taylor Greene telling Emily Mate Liz to fuck off?
A hero.
Here we go.
And the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So,
What about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you off? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm going to dine out on that for the rest of my days. I love it when a plan don't come together. I do love swearing, Johnny. I don't know why. I know I got told not to, but I can't resist.
Well,
Just can't resist.
I get told off for swearing all the time.
Oh, the other thing. Sorry, the other thing.
Vaccinate.
You know, the other thing the club have to do is they have to toe the party line, don't they? As David's doing here.
Oh, him, yeah, that David. That David's name might come up in a certain. He might have been to a certain party. Him and his wife. Watch this space. Mr. Big Club.
I'll tell you what, mate. They can go to any parties they want and do whatever they like to each other.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's not innocence, obviously.
That's it.
But pushing that medical stuff is
to children as well.
It's just so sad, mate. It's so sad. I wish people could understand what they're doing. You know, on a positive note, I'm hoping this is positive. We got the annual letter from the school to say Richard Branson's going in there with his for the old fluey wooey, right? Not explain it to the kids that your body needs to detox all the acid you get from your carbohydrate diet and all your toxic chemicals from your environment, that every now and again your body needs to detox that, and we call it the flu. No, not saying that. Now they're still selling them on that. Oh, that it's a bogeyman that can jump from one person in. It's criminal beyond insane. But on a positive note, they did say in this email they didn't have a very big uptake this year. And I'm praying that people are starting to get their heads around the fact that well-being comes from within you, nothing to do with other people. You know?
I don't think that's what they're thinking, though. I mean, I know a lot of people are all saying, I'm not having any more of them things put into me, and that's it. I'm not having. I've had 2. I'm not having any more.
Yes.
And I think they're realising there's something bad, but they just won't come out with any of that stuff. They don't want to hear it.
Yes, look, sorry, we've got a Sam Smith reference here. Yeah, Sam Smith, victim, isn't he? You know, mind control, MK Ultra. They always come out with the bleach blonde hair. Apparently, that's the part of one of the club symbols that they've been through the program, is where they get the short blonde, bleach blonde hair. Some would say Eminem went through the same thing, and Miley Cyrus and all of them. But yes, so all right, Jonni, I think this has been a great chat. Shall we go over to locals, mate, so we can have a proper chat about all the stuff that we can't.
Careful about what you can say. You have to be careful.
All right, my lovelies out there. I hope this helps some of you on your journey. Just remember, be respectful to each other and the channel in your comments, because life's too short to put up with negative energy, and we'll just say goodbye to you, unfortunately. Jonni and I are going to go over to locals. I've lost me little overlay. Look, there it is. There's the locals link, just going by now, folks, or there's a link in the description box below. The last thing I wanted to say is thank you to everybody that supported my Atlantic row. So I'm going to start rowing across the Atlantic on the 8th of December in a little rowing boat. Got a picture of it here somewhere. No, I haven't. Just thank you to everyone that's chipped in a £5. It's all we've asked. We want to be shining a light for traumatised veterans, shining a light for people struggling with their mental health, just as we've all done. And we just want to say that there's always light at the end of the tunnel, folks. Life's worst moments are actually its biggest educational lessons, and they're sent you for a reason. They're sent you because the big man upstairs recognises that you're a nice person and that you need to be in enlightenment. So he sends you a few challenges to get your head thinking outside the box. Unfortunately, them challenges can be depression, anxiety, etc., addictions. But like I say, it's all for a reason, and it'll all come good in the end. So, brilliant. Massive thank you to the everyone in the chat. The chat's been flying away. Yes, there's a link. If you can chuck us £5 for the row, folks. We're supporting Scotty's Little Soldiers, who support bereaved service children. 40% of them, their parents committed suicide. So what does that tell you about the military? What does it tell you about the welfare of the military? And what does it say about what these poor little blighters have got to live with the rest of their life, you know? Crazy. And the other charity is Elaborate, who support homeless veterans. Okay, Jonni, massive thank you to you, mate. Thanks for being my sounding board as ever. Let's go over to local, shall we? Much love, folks.
'Cause I've been living